Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. We're taking a look here at XRP. Obviously, seeing what's going on with the old Ripple, and I've gotten a lot of requests for this one, and obviously covered it recently, so it makes sense to go ahead and review it again, see kind of what's going on. And it's done some pretty interesting stuff here. It's still holding very strong though. And this is a great sign for a lot of people, a lot of my members too, a lot of my community members. We took a massive profit on a short from XRP yesterday, and then of course right back up today. So it's one of those awesome things that it's nice to be able to see it continue to recover, but it's definitely hitting sharp highs and sharp lows. Obviously yesterday was kind of an interesting day for us because of the Fed rate and the 0.75 increase causing that increase and then immediate decrease from there. But really good profits to be taken. So again, congratulations on all my community members. If you take a look at XRP though, what we want to look at first is a handful of things. Actually, before we do that, I want you to know that if you're new to the channel, I love teaching people to trade, right? This is just my day job. I do this every day for a living. I've been trading for 17 years, and it just brings me great joy to be able to help other people learn to become better traders. So if you want that for yourself, CryptoCache.tech is a website. Link in the description below. Be sure to check that out. I trade signals as well. I share those with my community members. So it's kind of an all-in-one where you can learn and, of course, have some direction because the market is very interesting, and I average about 80% success rate. So be sure to check that out in your own time. Last thing too, of course, BitGet. Highly recommend you register with them. Definitely use the link here, of course, if you want to benefit from the transfer funds, because if you transfer funds over, you get bonus USDT by just leaving it in your account for a little while and trading with them. Okay. Again, you have to trade with BitGet in order to get to benefit from that. So keep that in mind. All my current members that transferred funds are just kind of sitting on their hands. You really got to use it. But I can tell you, it's the best exchange I've ever used, and I highly recommend it. Absolutely worth it. And the only reason I partnered with them specifically, which is mainly because they offer leverage trading in the United States without a VPN. That's an interesting and foreign concept at this point, and it's really nice to be able to have that. To me, personally, I think it's a really nice function. All right, so with XRP, kind of picking up where we left off day before yesterday when I covered this last. Well, I was mentioning that we had potential for 3 white soldiers. Okay, we had 1, 2, and of course yesterday was red day. That kind of nullified it. But keep this in mind: yesterday should not have happened as far as the red day is concerned for XRP. It should have been a green day. And the reason why I say that is because it had such momentum that the ripple, for lack of better terms, that Bitcoin had caused with so many long liquidations, with it dropping from, I think it spiked up to almost 20,000 and dropped down to low 18,000 range. Like, that was a significant adjustment for a lot of coins, especially coins like this that has a large following. So, of course it's going to be corrected in that sense, but it recovered quite nicely. So I wouldn't say we had 2 white soldiers, but we should have had 3, if that makes any sense. Which basically just implies that today should be a red day and yesterday should have been a green day. All well and good either way. We're still back on track. So in that sense, taking a look at the RSI, we can see RSI is bouncing up to 70, and keep in mind when it hits 70 on the RSI on the daily, it's a very common rejection place. Okay, so it makes sense that the price action didn't pass this upper Fibonacci retracement level of 45 cents. What it could very well do is consolidate and blast through that resistance level. There is possibility of that, so I wouldn't put it past XRP. It's absolutely a very strong coin right now, but just know that typically 70 on the RSI will hold the price action in place. Okay, so just bear that in mind. If we do break above and close above though, different story altogether. It should likely work as a support, and it'll continue higher. It's just going to take a lot to get there at this point based on what I see here so far. Take a look at the 4-hour. You can see this attempt here, of course, with this candlestick, and usually when it opens and closes at the same area on the bottom, it's not exactly a gravestone, but it's definitely telling us that a reversal is near. In other words, we could and very well should see the price action come down to correct itself a little bit. Okay, so there's that chance as well. Again, a lot of this is contingent on Bitcoin. So if we kind of just take a look at how this runs with Bitcoin, we can kind of see a lot of nonsensical stuff right there, right? That occurred here as well, where the price shot up and right back down, but then it bounced. Okay, so again, very healthy in that sense. The likelihood of the price action consolidating at the previous resistance level here at about 43 cents or 42.5 is very, very high. Okay, so if you're going to short, I would not short any further than 43.5 to 42.5. Honestly, it's hard to say specifically what's going to happen, but generally speaking, it's a very strong coin, and you kind of want to be careful, betting against it. Okay, so please understand that. Furthermore, as well, if we take a look at the simple moving averages, See, we're above all three. That's kind of working concurrent here. We do see a trend line kind of forming as well, whereas the price action is continuing to just exceed that level, right? If you kind of exclude some of this bull stuff, the bull stuff, sorry, child friendly, the bull stuff here from yesterday, you could see, with the Bitcoin's correction, the price action should continue higher. Like there's no doubt that this trend line is strong. Okay, because again, it's running concurrent with the 20-day, and just a handful of reasons why this should continue. Okay, so again, I'm not saying it's going to shoot to the moon, but I am saying that this does look like it has potential to continue further. It's got a lot of good signs. Furthermore, if we take a look at the RSI, it's not overextended either, which is great. Hypothetically, the price action consolidates and then the RSI relaxes and goes for another ride. So that would hypothetically be a good situation. Got a strong MACD convergence here as well. That was yesterday afternoon. So all green lights here for XRP at this point. What we want to look at is on the 1 hour though, and see if there's any overextension. First of all, let's look at the 15 just to kind of jump right into that. I want to see if we have too much price action for the volume. And as you can see here, this is a common characteristic. When the price jumps outside the volume weight average price zone, it'll have a tendency of correcting itself. Obviously, that's Bitcoin's behavior there. It's not solely on its own, but Bitcoin had a similar thing where it pushed itself outside of its deviation, that standard deviation, and retraced and came back down. So pay attention to that. I cover volume weighted average price in my CryptoCache university, and essentially one of those things that helps you understand a lot, because volume is absolutely something that not a lot of folks will look at. I think it's important. We can see here as well, the volume right now, based on the current support, the volume weighted average price should be at 42.6. However, instead, the price action came up, got rejected at the upper standard deviation, and continued lower. Okay, so a lot of times when you're going to do a play like this, you want to try to get in when the price action is up higher here, and essentially also you want to look at the RSI and kind of see when it starts coming back down. That's typically a point in which you want to get in. Again, I cover this in my university coursework, but again, it's still one of those things that you want to kind of just recognize and understand. So again, makes sense where we're at right now. Pullback obviously is warranted, and what we want to look at too, of course, is a cloud and kind of see what else we have here. So first of all, lagging span is coming close to price action. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to close your position, but it certainly wouldn't hurt to take some profits if you have a position open. The conversion line is above the baseline pretty significantly. That tells us we have strong momentum at this point, which also implies that the price action could pull back a little further. And then we, of course, are above both the upper and lower lead on the cloud. So it really just tells us that if you can see this cloud running concurrent with this trend line here, the likelihood of the price action bouncing off this area is pretty high and continuing upwards. Okay. Again, mostly good stuff here. So what I would be looking for in the relative near future is a long closer to 42.5. That's essentially what I kind of set my indicators for and kind of see where we can go from there. Okay, because that would be really cool to be able to get that kind of bounce. But it does kind of look like it wants to do that. Okay, let's take one last look here at TD Sequential though, and just quickly identify a couple of things. First of all, if we see in the past, just kind of to touch on patterns, you see a 9 hit here previously, right? Goes sideways, consolidates, comes up to another 9, goes sideways, consolidates. While we did hit a 9 to the downside, it wasn't like a significant retracement. And then, of course, all the stuff here from Bitcoin misbehaving with the Fed rate meeting. And then, of course, the price action continues up to a 9 plus overtime. All right, so can you see how this overtime hit that standard deviation and comes back down? That's a case in point where you want to try to get in, is when you can see something overexhausted and pushing way too hard in one direction and wanting to pull back. Okay, so again, at this point, XRP is definitely looking like it wants to pull back. I wouldn't say it's going to pull back super hard, but it would make sense if we get a bounce off 42.5 and it continues higher eventually, and or it could come down lower and still kind of work its way up. It's not a problem if that happens, but the key is that we want to make sure that this next low is higher than the previous high, at least that average range. Okay, that's kind of what we're looking for. So again, all in all, it looks like it's just one of those standard price discovery situations. When a price of a coin breaks through a strong resistance level, which we can see right here was retested a couple of times right at 42.5. Now that it's broken through, it went to extreme overtime, continued higher, got rejected at the upper Fibonacci retracement level, and comes down to bounce. Those are all positive things there in that regard. So again, it increases the likelihood of this support level there at 42.5 holding. That's essentially what we're seeing. So again, I'm going to be paying attention to that area. It's definitely something that I want to kind of think about I'll obviously reevaluate later, but I'm going to go ahead and set myself an alert for that level. So if the price action comes down, we can go ahead and see if we can maybe jump in at that point. So that is really all we have here so far for XRP. I would say mostly positive. If I were a movie critic, I'd say 2 thumbs up. We're looking pretty good. Just keep in mind, it's slightly overextended for the moment, so it will very well likely pull back a little bit further at this time. Okay, so again, that's kind of where we're at there. Hopefully that made sense and you learned something here today. If you did, comment below, all that good stuff. If you want to become a better trader, again, CryptoCache.tech is a website. Link in the description below. Make sure you benefit from that BitGet. Of course, the USDT transfer commission that you get, it's really awesome. It's kind of easy money, and I can't tell you what, you're going to grow to love it too. It's an awesome exchange. I truly do enjoy it myself. All right, check that out on your own time. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you next one.